What's up guys, Luke here, and today we're jumping into a 4-tabling session on GGPoker playing PLO 10 cent, 25 cent. Now if you guys like this content, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, give the video a thumbs up, and without further ado guys, let's get right into the action. Now this will be sort of a play and explain type of video. I'm just gonna go through the hands that I played in this recording and see what happens basically. Bottom right, we have an easy call versus a squeeze. Bottom left, I take a stab and we take it down with the 9 blocker. On the top right, I decide to 3-bet ace, ace, queen, jack, pretty standard. On this flop, I like to see myself checking back, top right and bottom right. I like to see myself calling 1 pair and 2 backdoor flush draws, some backdoor straight draw potential. It's a little bit too strong to fold on the flop and not strong enough to get the money in. Turn is the queen of diamonds. Pretty interesting with the flush draw now, but my opponent barrels quite large, basically saying he has top 2 pair or better. I think he often says he has diamonds here because he doesn't go full pot. If he goes full pot, he probably doesn't have diamonds, or at least less often. I think I have a fold with my hand, even though I do pick up equity. It's a little bit too close in my opinion to continue there. Top right, easy open, king, queen, queen, 9, single. We have a short stack on our left there on the button, so keep in mind when you're playing against multiple short stacks on the table, you generally want to tighten up yourself because short stack players can more aggressively 3-bet you basically. So you have to make an adjustment yourself. King, queen, jack, or king, jack, 9, 5, rainbow. I decide to steal, which is pretty close, but if my opponent is extremely tight, which he seems to be, 17 VPIP only, it could be fine. And I think exploitatively playing more hands in the small blind in an unopened pot is a pretty good idea. Bottom right, ace, king, 10, 6, double, pretty standard. Open raise in the cutoff. We face a call in the small blind. Now the small blind's calling range, generally speaking, should be quite tight. However, I think people overly defend there and play too wide of a range. Top pair, 2 backdoor flush draws, 2 overcards. I think we have a c-bet. I also don't expect my opponent to check raise that often really and put me in a lot of tough spots. We turn a flush draw and a gutter. And versus a check, I like to see myself checking back. We have a little bit too much equity now to bet and face a check raise, even though my showdown value is not that great. Now on the river, it's pretty interesting. I think with my bear 10 basically, even though I have ace 10, I think my showdown value is quite low. I unblock queens and jacks basically. And I think I remember myself going for a bet in game to turn my hand into a bluff. And I think that is reasonable, especially with the 6, blocking 6, 7. And we do take it down. And I think it's quite likely that we dare make a hand like queen, queen, or jack, jack fold. It's definitely more exploitative. Bottom right, easy open. And against a 3-bet, I would like to see myself calling. Even though it's not a great spot, we are too connected to do anything else in my opinion. And top left, it's a 3-bet pot. We have king, king, 7, 6. SPR is 2. These are the sort of ugly spots in PLO if you call pre-flop with kings there. Very often you will be up against aces, which is also the case here. So let's see if we can run good. And the first one we win with a flush. And the second one we split. But that's sort of the classic PLO spot. And the reason why you want to fold a lot with your kings pre-flop against a 3-bet. Because very often you are going to be up against aces and you're going to flop a bear over pair. Your opponent is going to pot and then you have to make a decision. And you're going to be behind very often. So be careful not overcalling against 3-bets with your pair of kings. Top right, easy 3-bet, ace, king, king, 5, unsuited to the ace. Makes even more sense to 3-bet this hand than if you would have the same hand with the ace-high suit. Because with the ace-high suit, my hand would play significantly better in a multi-way pot. On the flop, we could bet small. We can check back. I like a check back a little bit better. Even though we unblock queens and jacks, we can get value against. I think my hand just doesn't play that great if I build a pot at this point. There's definitely some protection needed, but because we're in position, I think checking back is preferred. Top left, definitely a fold against the 3-bet. So let's see if I do that. Luckily, I do. Top right now, we face a turn probe. I think we should call once, but it's already pretty close. Might even be a fold, but with the ace of diamonds, we probably want to go ahead and call. And on the river, if my opponent bets, we have a very easy fold. So this format takes us through a lot more hands, guys, in a quick way. Also, let me know in the comment if you like this format. It goes quite quick, but at the same time, you will see a lot of hands. You will hear me talk about a lot of different spots. Bottom left, very easy open. Ace, king, king, 8 against a squeeze. Now it becomes kind of tricky. But let's see what's going to happen. Top right, very easy 3-bet. And top left, this could be an open. It's definitely close. I wouldn't mind a fold either. Bottom left, multi-way pot. I like to see myself checking as a start with my overpair. Top right, I think I decided to bet and we take it down with quads. And bottom left, this is close. I don't mind folding, to be honest. My opponent is basically setting himself up to just get the money in on the turn with that small sizing. And I don't think I can call there on a blank, for example. Bottom right, this is close. Like, I don't like to see myself calling that often, really, in the small blind. Now, I do have the ace and the queen of diamonds. But it's not a great spot. It's not a great spot. Top left, I check call the flop, which I think is good. And bottom left, I think I want to go ahead and close call or raise. I don't mind a raise to turn my hand into a bluff. Pretty bad turn, the ace. Not a card I'm gonna go ahead and bluff again on. Top right, easy open. Ace with 2 additional Broadway cards on the cutoff, basically always going to be an open. Against this squeeze, normally I would like to see myself folding, but this sizing is very small, so it's a very clear call. I think folding would be a pretty big mistake. Top left, I decided to flat. This is probably a check back on the flop. Sometimes we want to go ahead and take a step. Bottom right, this is... I don't like it that much, really. With my rainbow, king, king, queen, 10. If I would have a suit, calling is fine. I think this is just going to be a fold pre-flop normally. Top left, easy fold. And bottom right now is also a very easy fold versus a pot-sized bet. Top right, I will defend this hand if I see a raise. And we flop a gutter and a backdoor flush draw. We have 3 hearts. Flop, this is normally a fold. My hand is pretty weak. But I think this sizing it's basically a timing or a sizing tell why I decide to raise there. Even though I don't have any blockers or a lot of equity, like the half pot size bet on such a draw heavy board, it looks to me like a very cheap way to try and take down the pot. I think if he has like top 2 pair or better, he's very often going to go for a larger sizing. And I think picking up on sizing tells can help you pick up a lot more pots than you might think. Bottom right, I'm not sure what exactly happened. I think it's a squeezed pot. Flop goes check, check, check. Turn, we have a very easy bet now with our top 2 pair and a gutter. And top right, top 2 pair, flush draw, gutter. I mean, obviously we can go ahead and bet. We could even consider to check because we are blocking so much from the board. But generally speaking, you just want to go ahead and build a pot when you're in position. Like, don't become too tricky and expect your opponent to do a lot of crazy things on turns and rivers if you check back. 3-bet bottom right, open raise bottom left, all standard. Bottom right, I think I want to go ahead and... Against the min lead, we might even go ahead and raise small. But yeah, after calling flop, I think we're now in the call mode on the turn. And this is pretty much the worst river, I would say. Some straights, flushes. The straight comes in, the flush comes in. There are a bunch of trip hands in there. So it looks to me that he has a flush there on the river. Let's see if we pick up a few more interesting hands. Top right. I like to see myself calling top right. I think on the button you should get away with playing more hands than you probably should in theory at these stakes. Players make post-flop too many mistakes to not play a few more hands, in my opinion. So I think you want to be a little bit more creative there and play some hands. On the turn, I think we have a very easy bet. After my opponents check twice, I just think that ace-5 is the best hand, always. I mean, not always, of course, but almost always. And I just want to get value and deny equity, and we do win the pot. Top left, I think it's a call against the min raise. And bottom left, this is close, but it's definitely close. Like, if the button is quite tight, I think it's fine because we're then going to be in position very often. I'm floating the flop with a gutter and one spade. Top right, easy open. And on the turn, this is again sort of a sizing thing. Like, I just don't think he's ever going to use this sizing with a good hand, with a high flush, basically. So exploitatively, you might get away with raising, which is what I do. And he basically snap folds. Top right, I open raise. And I think this is going to be a check back. And on the turn, I would also check. Oh yeah. Top left is kind of interesting, although also not that interesting. I remember that I misread my hand on the turn, thinking I had the nuts basically, but I didn't. And the money will go in now. And of course, I'm up against 9-8, which I didn't see. So that was a mistake on mine. So guys, always make sure to focus on the board and your hand. And don't make this mistake that I'm basically making right now. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed this. And also, if you like this content, of course, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Guys, over and out. This is Luuk. Catch you guys in the next one.